Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Trust you and yours are well, and you are loving yourself and others like always. All right, many thanks to all of you for your support, for the super thanks, for all that you do for this community to keep growing. Now we are talking about the over 200,000 years old city found in South Africa, and this is where we talk about before the beginning began. All right, before what we knew as a beginning, there was life. Whether we take it or leave it is the fact. Now, they always want us to feel that life only started when they say life started. Oh, it started with Adam and Eve. Oh, there is nothing else that we can talk about. And by day, we keep getting proof that validates the fact that we were civilized people. We were not barbaric savages in the forest that never knew anything. This is the notion of the white man. They always say, oh, this is it. We are uncivilized people. They came and taught us how to do this, taught us how to do that. But all those lies right now are being debunked, are being kicked out of our heads, and those who really want to wake up are waking up. Now, I want to take you through something that will explain in depth of what I am trying to say, and also validate the teaching of Professor Kiura Nkuba that says that 3.3 million years ago, there were people, black people, those who look like me and you, and even darker than us, all right, on this planet Earth. They lived on this earth and in the continent of Africa. This is a fact that we keep throwing away by day. So,
200,000-year-old city found in South Africa. A large ancient site, estimated to be 1,500 square kilometers in size, has been discovered around 150 kilometers west of Port Maputo, South Africa. Likely were originally a part of a much larger civilization, possibly as old as 160,000 to 200,000 years ago, and covering an area of 10,000 square km. Only local farmers who lived in the area and assumed the stone circles were built by indigenous people ever came across the ruins. Amazingly, or perhaps conveniently, contemporary archaeology appears to have neglected to look into this fascinating site. Thankfully, things have changed. Michael Tellinger, a scholar and novelist, and Johan Hein, a local firefighter and pilot who had observed these ruins for years, finally went to explore them in the 1980s. Hein had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to view these remarkable structures from above, and he knew their significance was not being recognized. Johan could not have imagined the wonderful discoveries we would uncover in the years after he first took me to see the old stone remains of southern Africa. All of the images, artifacts, and evidence we have collected indicate to a long-lost civilization that predates all others by many thousands of years, not hundreds or even thousands. These findings, according to Challenger, are so astounding that they demand a radical reappraisal of human history. Although I like to think of myself as someone who has a wide worldview, it took me well over a year to realize that the buildings we are discussing are the earliest ones ever erected by humans. We have been led to believe that South Africa's history is devoid of any great ancient civilizations. Despite what some may say about the age and scale of this site, all of these civilizations emerged in Sumeria, Egypt, and elsewhere during the pregnancy of Michael Teller. It is undeniably important historically, as it contradicts standard assumptions about the development of ancient South African civilizations. I agree with Dan Eden of V-Zone that the Sumerian myth was likely used as a starting point for discussions about actual ancient catastrophes. That resulted in weaker planetary resonance and an emotional wound to humanity's psychoacoustic field. He went on to say that the Anunnaki were portrayed as an alien species in the Sumerian tablets, who enslaved us so they could steal our gold and use it to shield their planet from the sun. As far as I can tell, the Sumerian myths are symbolic of the profound upheavals that occurred throughout human history. which tipped the human mind's psychoacoustic scales in the wrong direction.
By day, we are being left with proof of the fact that the black people have been in this world long enough. Long enough. And like he was saying in his teachings, that the UNESCO are aware of these facts. Alright? It's there in their archives. They study these things, but they deprive the public from studying them, especially the melanated people who should know their own history. It's quite unfortunate that in this age and time, a lot of persons will still feel like, no, it's not true. What is true, we believe as a lie. What is a lie, we now believe as the truth. Like my brother would say, the truth is turned up, like everything is turned upside down.
Can somebody please tell me what in tarnations is going on? So surely by now you understand that history is a lie. And what you think is up is really down. And what you thought was left is really right. And what I mean by that is, they've changed names, places, dates, people. They've changed everything. So let me see if I got this straight. You're trying to tell me that this temple that was built for Ramesses II, which was carved into a mountain, you was able to chop up into small pieces and move to a different location? Come on, brother. Just look at this woman's face. I know what she's thinking. She's thinking, they ain't gonna see this one coming. Oh, we've got their ass now. So the mainstream narrative says the reason why they moved the temple is because the sea levels was rising and they didn't want it to get flooded. Really? Look how long that temple was supposed to have been there. It's supposed to be an ancient temple, right? And all of a sudden it's in danger of being flooded. Come on, brother. Just take a look at these guys, looking back at their work. Like, yep, we've done a good job here. We got the noses right and everything. I mean, when I look at this on a deeper level, this don't even look ancient. History is a lie. And I think I know what they're trying to hide.
And this is it. History is a lie. Because everything you think you know, you've not started knowing. So I'm going to leave you with the same clip I've been leaving you with before. Maybe it's going to do something good to us today. All right. Do watch the next clip and leave your comment at the section. I love you so much.
That when God created the world, there were no white people at all. There were no Chinese. There were no Indians. There were no Italians, no Romans, no Germans, no Poles, no Finns, no Swedes, no Goths, no Vandals, no Visigoths, no Vikings. There were only black people. Only black people. They were probably at the time darker than you. So, if you read any sacred text and it says that you are created in the image of God and in the likeness of God, it means God is what color? Black. And anytime anybody gives you a God who doesn't look like you, you give him that God back. You say, you know what? Yeah, your God looks okay, but just take him. Because at the dawn of time, there were no other people on earth but us. None. And you know, the most interesting story is that story unfolded around this river that passes through your district. The Nile. That is where humanity began. To the extent that UNESCO, United Nations Educational Scientific Committee Organization, in volume 2, chapter 1, it says, as a result of the work of Professor Like and other subsequent work, it leads us to conclude that more than 150,000 years ago, beings morphologically identical with the man of today were living in the area of the Great Lakes, at the foothills of the mountains of the moon, at the source of the Nile, in the land of the gods, and nowhere else. UNESCO, nowhere else. Humanity went through 5 stages. The first stages are known as Australopithecine, black. Where were they living? Where you are living. How old? How long ago? 5.5 million years ago. Who was living in Europe at that time? No one. Who was living in Asia at that time? No one. Who was living in America North? None. America South? None. Bismarck Archipelago? No one. Australia? Tonga? None. Haiti? Fiji? Samoa? Who was living there? No one. Humanity was only here. 3.5 million years ago, Homo habilis. Where was he living? Here. Was he living elsewhere? No. 1.5 million years. Humanity at the stage of Homo erectus, the African that walks upright. Where is he living? Here. He lives here to populate the world. He passes through the Gulf of Eden, avoids Saudi Arabia, crosses into India. And then he goes through Kenya, Mijikenda, Tayar in Australia, and populates all the islands in between. Avoids Israel, avoids Jordan, avoids Syria. He also discovers fire. Then 150,000 years, modern man, known as Homo sapien. Homo sapien. The oldest Homo sapien, the bones discovered in Omo Valley in Ethiopia and Kenya. He started where? Here. Then he moves with his feet and his cows, mobile food, and his language, articulated symbolic language, and his brain, a bigger cranium, and he populates Europe. He is the first person to populate Europe about 40,000 years ago, known as Gromoldi. The first people to populate Europe were black people. They were known as Gromoldi. First people to populate England were black people. They were known as Bika. First people to populate India were black people. They were known as Dravidians. First people to populate Japan, black people. They were known as Masaba Negroes. Mulembe, Kamaku, Wagasile, they came from here. They populated Japan. That's why Japanese names are like Ugandan names. Takahara, Nakamura, Kato, Toyota, all those. Because the first Japanese were black people. In ancient time, the whole world belonged to the black man, the black woman. You are the people that populated the world. You are the people that gave birth to everybody else. And quite significantly, and I am telling you this as a scholar, I have a library of 32,000 books. I have read each one of them, not only read them, but remember them. I have traveled in almost every corner of the world, lectured at the most prestigious universities. I am telling you that in ancient time, the only people who are on earth were you and your ancestors. You. And you are also the people of the scriptures. All scripture, be it the Rig Veda, the Namapali, the Peramperu, the Papyrus of Ani, the Papyrus of Hunefa, the Quran, the Bible, the Book of the Rosta, the Epic of Gilgamesh, is all about black people. Black people.